just to power that system to liquefy and transport the food. So we ourselves are huge users of energy, and we need to improve our energy footprint as an industry per se. All of the companies that we see around, and remember, Chevron only produces 3% of global oil and gas compared to what our consumption on a daily basis is. This world consumes 100 million barrels of oil equivalent every single day. So imagine the utilization that we have in our own industry of emissions and what we need to take care of first. So that is scope 1 emission, which is the emissions that we generate from our own operation. Then there is scope 2 emission. Scope 2 emissions are things that we actually, indirect emission from what we purchase from outside, right? We purchase sometimes diesel from outside. We purchase electricity from outside directly to power our own systems. And that electricity may be generated by various different ways, perhaps by burning gas in some power plants, for example, or generating steam using some equipment which utilizes power and then using steam turbines to generate electricity. So various mechanisms. So those are scope 2 emissions. And then there are scope 3 emissions, which is our products being used by other people like cars and other places in petrochemical plants, third party that use our products and they generate emissions. So those are the different scopes, and each of our companies have essentially committed in some form or fashion of how we are going to address each of those scopes of emissions. Most companies have basically committed to some reduction in their scope 1 emissions, which is their own operations and reduction in carbon footprint of their own operation. And some companies like Chevron has actually committed further than that to say we are also going to look at scope 2 emissions and try to reduce our footprint in the scope 2 emission space. So just to give you a backdrop of what the industry and companies are doing in terms of trying to reduce our own emissions. But
so I'm going to ask the speaker about algae production.
Fuels. We had tried something on algae long time ago, but we are shifted to some other renewable fuels. There's a whole separate business line. We created a new company inside Chevron called Chevron New Energies that is looking at renewable fuels, looking at hydrogen, looking at offsets, and looking at CCUS. So those are the 4 business lines within the new company. So we have actually focused on these areas on renewable fuels for sure. Yes.
Okay. Because just basically, because algae needs CO2, I think that was actually going to be like the best alternative to CCSU. CCUS, that way it's not like you are thinking about...
The challenge is scale. I mean, the scale of the problem is very big. You can create small solutions, but they have to be scaled at a very massive level.
Yes,
and that's the bigger challenge that everybody faces, saying, okay, I can come up with research, I can do small things, but can I scale it to the
economically as well?
World scale economically, exactly.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your lecture.
That's what I'm